Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Quantum Eraser, Zinda, The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Physics Warrior, Jose, John LeBon, Gleam, Earth Flattener, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Excellent, good to be here.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm going to attempt, with probably the fullest panel we've ever had, to do a bit of housekeeping. So, any signs of Earth curvature, gentlemen?
All over the place now.
Is that a yes?
Would Patricia's hair be a Earth variety?
Any positive signs of an answer? Any signs of Earth curvature?
Nope.
No? Anybody? No?
No.
Moving on. Any signs of axial rotation? Again, specifically of the Earth-based variety?
No, only the celestial-based variety and of the ether.
I'd like to ask that question to John. Is there any evidence of axial rotation, John?
Let me tell you this. If anybody tries to tell you that there is rotation of the Earth, that you are moving, then that person is in fact a liar. Or they have been lied to and they are spreading the lie. The Earth is not moving, in my opinion.
Oh, so are you a geocentrist then?
Well, I had people trying to tell me what my model was 10 minutes ago, and now you're asking questions about it. So maybe we're making progress here. Yeah, if anyone's tried to tell you that I believe that we live on a spinning ball, that person is in fact a liar. That is a lie. That's a misrepresentation of me.
So do you believe that the stars rotate around the Earth then?
Well, firstly, I don't believe the stars are solid physical objects. I think they might be, but I don't think they're solid things that you could touch. Same with the moon, right? The moon landings being a hoax should be obvious to people by now. But the problem is a lot of people still think the moon is a place you could actually go to. That also is, in fact, a lie.
I probably agree with that. So the evidence of axial rotation, right? Axial rotation could be the Earth spinning or the stars spinning around the Earth. So what's your answer to that question?
So I don't think the Earth is spinning. Okay, and again, I'm open-minded, but I've looked at all the evidence. I've looked at, and now I have to go back into my memory bank here at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I looked at things like the pendulum and these sorts of things. You know those pendulums that they hang a big pendulum from the roof, and they try and say that this is evidence that the Earth is spinning.
Yeah.
So I've gone looking at that for that evidence, and no, I don't think the Earth is spinning. So the fact that the stars appear to rotate, because it's just apparent rotation, that suggests to me that whatever they are in fact going around us.
But the question is axial rotation.
Well, axial is in if we're actually on a physical ball.
No, is the Earth or the stars spinning on an axial rotation? Not just a rotation, an axial rotation.
Okay, so they appear to be in the sky, moving about as though they're all in a sphere, if that's what you're trying to ask.
Right, great. So would you agree then that...
Do you agree with that? Is that something you agree with?
No, I take your point. I don't agree with it. I'm just about to disseminate why. Would you agree that if it's an axial rotation of the stars and the Earth's spinning...
Well, hold on. I need to know what yours trying to suggest. Like, if you say to me this or this, I'm trying to ask you, what do you believe, man? Like, do you have belief?
I'm just trying to get there, John. I'm trying to get
Other than flat Earth.
I'm trying to
No,
get
there
there.
now.
John.
Just
bear
tell me
with
what
me.
you believe.
Bear
Bear with me. You tell me what you believe.
Well, I believe that if it's an axial rotation, the way we're told, regardless of geocentric or heliocentric, one has to be antipode to the other. So the rotation in the north would have to be antipode to the one in the south. Would you agree with that?
Let me think. You're asking me if the stars, if we assume, for the sake of argument, that it's kind of like they're on a ball, right? Like they move about as though they're on a ball. Like we're premising it on that notion.
Yes.
Go on.
So if we accept that for the sake of argument, even if you don't believe that, for the sake of argument, you're happy to entertain that idea?
Yeah, go on. The question is do you agree that one has to be antipode to the other?
You would think so, wouldn't you? Like,
Yeah.
It seems that way to me, but I'm open-minded to another explanation for it.
So why is there a 10-degree declination adjustment for Brisbane?
But I'm not making that adjustment when I observe that rotation. That's
but
where you're
the fact that you
misrepresenting
have to
what I'm
make the
saying. It's a red herring, and I think you know it's a red herring. I think you know that you're a misrepresenting person. I think you know that.
No, it's not.
I think you know that you
your
are
model.
putting out a red
You
herring
guys have-
misrepresentation.
Listen, you have
I'm
something called
suggesting.
declination.
And I think you're doing that because you know what the rotation means to your belief system.
No, we're trying to establish.
And I didn't come here to.
yourself.
You know the funny. Let me just say this, and then I'll shut up. I promise. I didn't even come here to argue with your belief system. I literally wanted to know what are your best arguments for it.
Yeah, but
and I just wanted to sit here and
we're
listen.
doing housekeeping at the moment.
I just wanted to sit here and listen. That's all.
We're doing the housekeeping.
If people
at the
want to know what
moment.
I believe, they can just go to johnlebon.com.
Hang on,
But I was
hang on,
actually
hang
here to
on.
learn what you guys believe.
Hang on. We're doing.
Well, just give me a
housekeeping.
second. I'm going to get a glass of water. It's 2:20 in the morning. I'll be back in 2 minutes. I just need to go and get some water. I shouldn't be staying up this late, but I'm actually kind of enjoying it. Like when you guys are not yelling at me, it's actually enjoyable. So just give me 2 minutes. I'll be back. All right. Just give me a second.
Okay.
And remember that when it comes to World War One,
Damn glass of
World
water.
War One is a hoax. Okay. Franz Ferdinand, the assassination, that did not in fact happen. Okay,
Don't
that's a
be-
hoax. All right. Just remember that.
Okay, so
Next question.
We're still on axial rotation. So at the moment, in this conversation between yourself and John, we're at the point where we've got a star antipode to another star, something only possible on an Earth that's shaped like a sphere.
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, it is a bit of an issue, but yeah, I don't know.
And the best thing is John's not realised it's an issue yet, and he knows it's a trap, but he doesn't quite know why.
No, I realised that. That's why I didn't say anything. But that's fine.
Hey, are we live?
We are live
We
now,
are.
John. Yeah.
All right. Did he finally get that clockwise and counterclockwise is fallacious?
No, I don't think he
No.
does. I think he still classes it as.
We're on
Moved past
step
that.
one. We're on step one. So the question in housekeeping currently, John, is any signs of axial rotation? And then Anthony's very cleverly phrased a question: are the stars antipode to each other? And the answer is, of course, that is what it suggests. So suddenly we've got stars that are antipode to each other. Apparently, that's the situation currently.
What do they? Who said they were antipode to each other? And what do they mean by
Have
that?
a guess.
It's the question is there any signs of axial rotation, right? And by virtue of the word axial, it requires that one would be antipode to the other, like the rotation point. And if that's true,
Of
then-
the Earth.
Yeah, he did. Nathan did include Earth-based variety, though.
Is that what you're
Would a
talking about,
construct
Anthony?
look like a taco if that's the case?
I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm not necessarily convinced it's flat. I am happy accepting that it might be 4th or 5th dimensional, and
hold
we
on,
just can't
Anthony.
work it out.
Hold on.
It doesn't
Anthony.
necessarily default to flat for me.
Sorry.
I know
two
some
shots.
people may argue it does, but
Hold on,
that's
Anthony.
that's rejecting the possibility that 4th or 5th dimensional is the explanation, and that can't be rejected in my opinion.
Anthony, Nathan's saying, hold on, Anthony.
Yeah. So, am I right, John? Was there an issue with the qualification of terms because we have an axial rotation of the stars now, and you sounded like you objected in some way to that.
Yeah, axial rotation, they're going to have to define what they mean by axial rotation. Not of the Earth,
Yeah.
but of the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not
Antipode
quite-
comes
yeah,
to mind
okay.
when that word comes to play, and John's not quite got there yet. But
We're
we're
not
getting
quite.
there.
Yes, correct. So we're all on the same page now.
Hey, when you say John, make sure, just say quantum eraser because
Okay.
it's confusing.
Okay.
I know, but I don't mind you being guilty of his crimes. That's okay for me.
No. Yeah. So
Okay, sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
So just
Sorry, it's gone for a
we'll
drink.
summarise it for the audience's benefit. So we're at the stage where seeing a star movement from east to west in all locations. Now we're at the point where, for some reason, these 2 points of light in the sky above us are antipode to each other. I don't quite know why, but I'm sure Anthony will get there with his line of questioning. But we're kind of stuck on axial rotation until John LeBron comes back. If he doesn't come back, obviously we'll just move on to the next housekeeping point.
I think we should probably move through and finish them anyway, and then we can come back to this.
Okay, that's probably a
again,
good idea.
But then again, we could fill the whole show with asking John the questions.
Has anyone seen the video? Anyone seen the video by Dorji Daka where he gets stellarium and he mirrors one of them against the other at the same time, and the same star systems appear both looking south and looking north at the same time?
I've not seen that. I will check that out though. Okay, Jack.
I've just put it in the Hangouts now. Have a little watch.
I'll have a look at that. That sounds interesting.
It's crazy.
Oh, so that's going on to that point that was made before, that they might be mirrored.
Yeah, it's exactly that. They are seriously. Watch it. It's crazy. Absolutely mad.
Isn't it?
Hey guys,
just
I'm
solved?
sorry that I took a while to get my drink. I have to go. It is 2:20. I have to go soon, but I have enjoyed. This has been enjoyable. So thanks to Nathan for hosting. And yeah, like apart from people getting angry, this is cool to have these chats, and like
Apart from Nathan
if
getting
we can have these chats and get a better idea of where people are coming from, I think it's cool.
Nathan and John.
Sorry.
Come on back, John.
It was only Nathan and John that were getting angry.
Sure.
Everybody else was okay.
Yeah, no, it's like, but do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, let's just pretend that I actually did think that we live on a spinning ball, which I don't. But let's just say that I did believe that. It doesn't mean that we have to see each other as enemies. Like, we're all just people living our lives, aren't we?
No, but if we are going to engage in debate, you have to listen to other people's objections. You can't have it as a one-way conversation. That's called rumble.
I agree with you. And what we also have to do is try not to misrepresent what each other is saying, like with clever rhetorical tricks. And I think in the past, I fell into this bad habit of, like, I would know what someone was saying, but I would misrepresent what they were saying in like a clever rhetorical trick. And I think I've grown out of that now. And sometimes I see people doing that, and I think you can grow out of it. Like, your life will be better when you fairly represent what the other side is saying.
Well, we can test that right now. We can test. Do we agree that the stars all rise due east and set due west?
Yeah, so long as we all agree that there is such thing as north, west, east, and south. Yes, I think we do. I hope we do. I mean, if you can't even agree on that, then you're in big trouble.
Direction of the travel.
But hey, I wanted to ask you before we go on to the star thing. Can I just ask you, how about southern flights? Like, do you believe that I can fly from Australia to South America direct?
I don't know. If
Okay,
so
this one is still
it's
kind
the
of being
journey over the oceans.
Sorry, hold on.
Establish.
Hold on. Sorry, just before we go on to this straw man representation of what the azimuth.
Well, it's not straw man. I'm asking. This is not a straw man, Nathan. This is a serious question. Can you fly from Australia to South America and back?
Yes, you can.
Or from Australia to Africa,
Yes, you
for
can.
that matter.
Yes, you can. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I think you can. But does some of the people on the panel here not agree that you can?
I've just conceded we can. So does this have any relevance?
I think it does, because how can you explain how you can fly from Australia to South America direct in the times that it can be done? How can you explain that on any kind of flat Earth belief system?
Okay, wait a second. Could I take this one?
Yeah, go on, John.
Can I take this
one? Go
one?
on, Quantum Eraser.
Quantum Eraser. Yeah, listen. When you say, can you explain? Well, number one, I never made any claim to flights from South America to Australia or Australia to South America. I never claimed that. So what do? Do you wander aimlessly asking complete strangers to explain things that they've never claimed?
Okay, so you haven't claimed that. That's good. I'm just asking what your belief on this particular topic is. That's all. So you're saying that you do believe the flights exist, though?
I don't have beliefs.
Okay, do you know these flights to exist?
I'm not a pilot. I'm not part of the airline industry. I don't know.
I think it's relevant.
I don't
It's
care.
relevant if the flights exist.
It is relevant, because how would you expect to know something whether or not a specific flight would exist or not?
So, but I'm just asking, is it relevant if the flights exist?
But if you're going to say that they do exist, you've got to prove that they actually do, not that they're programmed or scheduled on a
Yeah, that's
website.
cool. That's cool. I'm just asking, like, if it's even relevant. Do you think it's relevant if the flights exist?
No.
Well, you brought it up.
It's
To be
okay.
honest, not from Australia to where did you say the other point was? Did you say South
Well,
America?
I've flown from Australia to Africa, but I personally haven't flown from Australia to South America. But either of those sets of flights, do you think they're relevant to the conversation about the shape of the
Why?
Earth?
Think a
Hold on.
second.
Let me answer, John. Hold on. Unless you're going to represent us as having a straw man map, which I've already said I'm a layman who can't map the world. Forgive me for my sins. So, no, unless you're going to bring up a straw man map that you're going to claim we all adhere to, then no, I don't see it as relevant in the slightest. We've moved
Well,
past...
let me answer that. No, I'm not going to bring up a map. Like, if you're telling me that you don't have a map, you don't have a working model, that's cool. Like, I'm just trying to learn. I'm just trying to learn where
Models are
exactly you guys
pseudoscience.
stand at
We've
the
already
moment.
told you that about 5 times.
Yeah, models aren't where we live. So, back to the stars.
I'm not even talking about a model. I'm just talking about, like,
So-
what do you accept about objective reality?
Before
So
you
do
went
you
away for a
accept that
glass
the
of
flights
water-
exist? Do you think it's relevant if they do?
Before you went away for a glass of water, we were at the point where you said you can logically deduce that the stars are antipode to each other. And I'd like to know how you deduce that.
Well, I didn't use the word deduce. I try and avoid deduce, prove. I just like the word infer. I observe
my
something,
bad.
I make inferences from it.
My bad. How do you infer that one star above you in the sky is actually antipode to another star that's further
Well, I don't use the
over
word
there
antipode
somewhere?
either. That's another word. Like the word antipode. Up until this conversation, the word antipodian I thought meant people who come from Australia and maybe New
JLB.
Zealand as well. In fact, I'm going to look that up because now
John.
I'm a little bit.
John, if you live on a sphere, be it geocentric or heliocentric, you have to accept that some stars are antipode to you. It's under your ass, right?
All right, so I just looked it up, and you're like the word antipodian means relating to Australia or New Zealand. So forgive me if I'm not really up with your use of the word antipode. That's just what the word means to me, generally speaking.
Antipode, not
In terms of the
antipodian.
flights, because a lot of the people listening to this might not be aware that I used to host a show called the Baller Skeptic Roundtable, and on the very first episode, I had Dan Murphy 25, who's a lovely fellow, by the way. He's not here to defend himself. This is not an attack on him. I'm just saying what happened. He tried to tell me that you can't fly direct in the place that some people call the Southern Hemisphere, or this part of the plane, wherever I am. He was trying to say you can't fly from Australia to South Africa and back. And I was like, yeah,
Are
I'm
we
pretty sure you
Dave
can 'cause I
Murphy?
did it. And so what I'm just trying to establish here is where is flat Earth today in 2018? Okay, if I'm going to get into a debate with Scottish
Are we
Storm,
Dave
I need
Murphy?
to know what I'm up against.
Let's forget Dave Murphy's not here. Nathan, would you mind sharing my screen, please?
Yeah, but I don't want to move
It's a
past this
strong
point. We've got antipode stars to each other. Antipode meaning, I hate to use the word because it's not literally correct, but on the opposite side of a sphere.
Yeah, just present my screen.
Yeah,
Nathan.
so on the ball model, I think I can answer your question directly, Nathan. On the ball model, as I understand it, those rotation points, yeah, they're on opposite sides of that model. I think that's pretty straightforward.
So what?
Is that the answer you're looking for?
No.
I'm assuming
what?
that there's like a getcha
Yeah, yeah.
or a gotcha question at the end of this.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'm
there
just
is.
trying to cut to the
Hold on,
chase
Anthony,
because
let
it's
me just
2:30.
answer. Hold
So
on.
just cut to your gotcha question. Like, what's the
It's
gotcha?
not a gotcha. It's pointing out your logical fallacy. So because a model says they are antipode to each other, does that mean they are?
No, I'm saying that if you look at the evidence, that's the inference you'll draw. The rotation of the stars.
sorry.
That's my point. That's my point.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get to that.
But
Why
I could
would
be
you...
wrong. Give me arguments against, like.
Yeah,
Just-
I'm
just
trying to
tell
get there,
me
John,
what
and
your
you're
evidence is that
rumpusing
the Earth
me.
is
I'm
flat. That's what I'm
trying,
looking for.
John. I'm trying.
And the evidence would be that there were no southern flights, but now it seems to me like people
Can
are.
you let Nathan talk,
John,
please?
maybe you can explain why you would infer that, given that we don't live on a model.
No, we live on Earth. I agree. So I'm just trying to establish before we draw any inferences. Let's see what we agree.
You've already drawn an inference. Your inference is that they're antipode to each other. Now tell me why.
Well, no, that's not the inference.
That's your inference. I asked you what your inference, and that's what you told me your inference was. Why are you doubling back on your assertion? Please don't do that. Just tell me why you infer that. Why do you infer that?
What I tried to establish was what objective reality can we agree on? And it seems like there's some agreement that there are these rotations in the sky, Some are clockwise, some are anti-clockwise.
No.
It seems like we got some agreement on
No,
that.
well then you're either not listening
Now
or
we
just
move on
ignoring
to
the
the
bits
flat.
you
I'm just trying to
don't
say how
like.
much of reality
So
we're
which
still
is it,
denying
John?
in the flat
Are
earth
you
world. So
ignorant
are we
or deaf?
denying the flat
Which
earth?
is it,
Denying the
John
flat earth?
LeBon? Are you ignorant or deaf? Because you are either ignoring the points
Maybe
we keep
I'm
making.
stupid. Treat me like a dummy. I'm here to learn about flat earth. I want your
No
best
problem,
arguments for
John.
it. And so far, you've given me
John,
none.
okay,
Zero.
no problem. We'll treat you like you're dumb, John.
I could be.
Quantum
So
Eraser,
help me.
please
Give me
can you
your
explain
flat
to
earth
John
arguments.
LeBon again why they're not
Very best.
anti-clockwise and clockwise rotations?
Tell me what Scotty's going to hit me with when I debate him. I want to know what's
Yeah,
the
we
best
can't
flat
keep
earth argument.
trumpeting. Yeah, we know. This is very troubling for John because his accepted rhetoric is based on a formal logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. If we have rotation in the southern hemisphere, antipode to the other stars, then we must be on a sphere. And when I ask him to explain how he's formalised this, he says, rumpus, 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 rather than actually telling me how he's come to that conclusion.
I can hear you now, Nathan. Did he go back to the clockwise, counterclockwise deal again?
Yes.
Are there any flat earth
Oh
arguments?
my
'Cause
God.
every minute that you waste not giving me arguments, it's becoming more clear there are no arguments.
Yeah, we're pulling apart your position, John, because for some deluded reason, you think the stars underneath your arse, underneath you. Why you would think this is beyond me, and you don't seem to want to tell me.
So again, every minute that passes with you guys failing to give a flat earth argument, it becomes more clear to the listeners what's happening.
Wait a second. Oh, I already
Just give me
gave
one flat earth argument. Just give me one. Give me your best.
Excuse me,
I'll give it you, John.
LeBon.
John,
No, you
again,
don't have to. You don't have
John,
to.
will you listen?
But if you don't, it's
will you
clear what's
listen?
happening.
Clearly not. Did you ask the question? Will you listen to the answer, or will you interrupt halfway through?
I'm going to shut up and listen. If you give me a flat earth argument, I'm all ears.
All
But
ears,
not a personal
or
attack. No more personal
all
attacks or storming.
ears,
Just give me
because
flat
I've
earth evidence.
already said it about 5 times, and you seem to be ignorant of it, or you just don't like it. So I'll say it again, hopefully uninterrupted. What we observe in our reality, not on a model, is a flat world. Obviously and observably flat. How?
In Nevada, yes, but not in Brisbane, and probably not where you live. So that's...
Sorry, what do you mean not
that's
where
not
I
an
live?
argument. That's
There
not
are
an
people
argument.
who
That's just
come
a
on the
statement.
panel
I want
daily.
an argument.
Sorry, there's been screenshots presented throughout this entire conversation of the flat world that presents itself to us. So to say that it doesn't occur here, but does happen in Brisbane, or on the salt flats, or on all these other flat pieces of land, is irrelevant when it's happening all over locally. Now, I can't see all of it at once, but that's irrelevant if everything I do see locally is flat. So, we're not making any presuppositions. I don't need to give you a map. The world is obviously and observably flat. That's why at the beginning I asked...
Fair enough. So it's not about arguments. It's not about actual evidence and arguments. It's just I see what I see. I describe it the way I describe it. And I describe it as flat earth.
No. I already gave a presentation a number of times on the flat earth proofs on this very channel. What in the world are you talking
gave a
about?
presentation of flat earth anger. I'm looking for flat earth evidence and arguments.
What do you mean anger? I just told you I've given presentations on this.
Let me ask a question, John. John LeBon.
Goodness,
No,
Anthony.
give me evidence. Give me arguments for flat
John,
earth. Can
listen.
you? Do you have any? Do you have a single one?
Just listen.
Like even
Do
just
you
one.
agree that
Just
he
one.
who
That's all I want.
asserts? Do
Just
you
one.
agree that he who
One
asserts
argument
must
for flat
prove?
earth. It's not a personal attack. That's all I want.
John,
Just one.
listen. Stop
Forget
speaking.
about John LeBon. John LeBon is a nobody. We want flat earth arguments.
No, we don't need flat Earth arguments to
No,
challenge.
you're
your
right.
own-
You don't. You can believe
I
without
already gave
arguments.
them.
And if you just admit that, then we'll all be happy.
I already gave them, John LeBon.
No, you gave anger. You're a very angry person.
Oh, I told you. Anger, yeah. I'm getting frustrated because you're a pretender
Were you this
clown.
angry before flat earth?
So, listen. I've already
No, you
given
weren't. You were probably a happier
presentations
person than
number
this.
of times. Nathan, can you shut him up?
I've
already.
I don't
Go
know
ahead,
how.
Nathan.
I'm going to shut up myself. I'm going to shut up and listen to you give me flat earth arguments. I promise I will shut up when you start giving flat earth arguments. Will you do
I've
that?
already given numerous presentations on flat earth proofs. I had 4 of them on this channel, and I gave 5 of them on Iron Realm Media. The first one was the salt flats in Bolivia. The second one was the evolved sea sparrow missile. The third one was the Coriolis effect. The fourth one was no vacuum attached to a vacuum.
Excellent.
A
Can you
number of
please
times.
elaborate on the Sea Sparrow one? That's a new one. I want to learn about this. Can you explain that one to me?
The sea sparrow?
Yeah, like so you're saying you've got an argument for flat Earth that involves the sea sparrow. I would love to hear this because Scotty Storm might hit me with this in the debate. And if this is a good argument, I'd rather hear it now. And then, like, you know what I mean? So you please explain this to me.
It would take too long to explain it here right now.
Nah,
Go back
the
to
gist
the
of it.
presentation.
Nah, John, come on. Quantum Eraser. I could explain the sea sparrow proof probably in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Go ahead.
I'm going to shut up for 3 minutes. Then I'm going to put myself on mute and I'm just going to listen. This is good.
Well, the broad strokes is that you get a direct line of sight. Simple as that. So you put pencil beam to target something at 60 nautical miles, and there's no obstruction in the way. You've got a direct line of sight with it. If the Earth was a sphere, there'd be an obstruction. Simple.
Okay, that was a quick 2 or 3 minutes. So what you're saying is that the Sea Sparrow missile flies in a direct line, and this leads to a conclusion of flat Earth.
No, the targeting system.
The Sea Sparrow targeting system, the target illumination radars must have line of sight to their target. The Evolved Sea Sparrow missile Block 1 engages surface-based targets at 35 miles away. Now, that's lowballing. They can't give the full range, but it's been documented 35 miles away, right? And it needs line of sight. But on a spinning ball at 8 inches per mile squared, that would be impossible to have line of sight. So basically, that's the argument.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that with me. So I'm looking up Sea Sparrow right now. Is this one of those wingless missiles?
What do you mean wingless?
Well, you know how some missiles have a wing, but some missiles supposedly they still stay in the air.
What does that
despite having
have
no
to do
wings.
with anything?
Well, are you open-minded to the possibility that some of the technology that was shown by the military is in fact a hoax?
No, because I'm retired military.
So how far did you see with your eyes one of these Sea Sparrows
Oh,
fly?
my eyes. I wasn't. I'm not a Navy guy. I'm a land lover. I'm not a squid.
Okay, so your appeal to authority then is meaningless. So why
That's
do
not
you
an
guys
appeal
think
to
it's
authority.
impossible?
What define appeal to authority?
So you said, oh, because I've been in the military. So you're basically trying to make the audience think, you would know what you're talking about. But then when I asked you, have you seen the missiles with your eyes? You quite correctly admitted that you hadn't.
You said all
So
these
now I'm
military
asking,
things are a hoax.
is it possible
But
that some
I'm
military
retired military,
technology
and I
is
can
in
tell you
fact
that
a
it's
hoax?
not a hoax. So your
How
argument
come you
is
can tell me
inane.
that? Why are you telling me that?
What's an argument from authority?
So an appeal
Fallacy.
to authority is when you have someone believe that what's being said should be believed because it's coming from an authoritative source. Now, if someone's been in the military, they can give us this impression of,
incorrect.
he knows what he's talking about. But hold on, you haven't seen one of these with your own eyes.
That's in fact incorrect. That's
So you
not
have
an
seen one with your own
argument
eyes.
or appeal to authority. An argument or appeal to authority is appealing to someone that's not an expert in the field. Big difference. I'm retired.
You can define it however you like, but
So,
we've established that you haven't seen this
that's
with your
not
own
my
eyes.
definition.
So
That's what it
my
is.
question to you is, why
So
can't
you
this
don't
be
know
a
what
hoax?
it is. I'm telling you,
Why
this
can
is
this not be a hoax?
documented.
How come these missiles
right?
can't be a hoax?
The range of the Evolved Sea Sparrow missile Block 1 is greater than 50 kilometers. The target must
How
be
far have you seen
illuminated
it fly?
by an RF. Would you shut up? The target must be illuminated by an RF pencil beam via a target illumination radar from the launch ship for the weapon system to engage. That is,
It's used on aircraft. It's used on aircraft.
See, he won't listen. I mean, you're
It's
going
used
to
on
let me finish
aircraft.
this?
It's used
The
on
target
aircraft.
illuminated.
Not a problem with line of sight.
Okay, I'm done. You're a clown.
It's rumpusing this time.
Well, it's a completely flawed argument by John. The Sea
Well, these
Sparrow.
missiles could be a hoax. That's not a flawed argument. and I've made
they are
many
not.
videos
Not a
talking
hoax.
about this.
Here's the
true.
rumpus.
They are true.
How do you know
But
they're
the
true?
claims he's making are false. When they engage at the distance he's talking about engaging with aeroplanes. So it's a completely deceitful argument.
Really?
And when they actually, it's mostly a
Please,
short-range missile system anyway, so it actually doesn't
Citation,
engage
please.
at those distances normally.
Citation, please.
Well, I thought you might be interested in this diagram I've got here, by the way, while I'm here, which is showing the point that John was making about the counterclockwise and the
Didn't I give you a
anti-clockwise.
phone number for mental health? Didn't I give you
John,
that?
you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. And here's the clockwise point that John was making in my diagram to share that, showing how that you've got an axis that goes from north to south. This is a picture taken from the equator, and you cannot get that on a flat Earth. That's the point that John was making. He's completely correct. And there's the evidence, therefore, you cannot get that picture on a flat Earth, showing you the axis from north to south. You've got the, if you face the south, it rotates one way, and if you face
all
north,
the
it rotates the other
stars
way.
rise in the east and set in the
Yeah,
west.
I know that, John. But you cannot have that picture on a flat Earth. It contradicts the flat Earth in that one picture.
All the
You have the flat Earth
stars
I give you
rise in the east and set
Yeah,
in the
John, you
west,
keep on
no
saying that. I'm not
matter what
disputing
your
that.
position
You cannot.
is on the earth. So take your little diagram and shove it where the sun doesn't shine.
We didn't get to hear it. We just got heard a load of rumpusing as your counterpoint was put forward. John, can you repeat it?
I mean, I was on the Evolved Sea Sparrow missile when this clown jumped in. I mean, what are we talking about now? Where do you want me to go?
Well, just address his star point that I've just put on screen as it did get discussed.
Okay, his star point again. Let's go back to this for the 6th time, probably even more. So, no matter what position on the Earth, all the stars
No one's disputing this, John.
and the moon rise in the east and set in the west. This counterclockwise, clockwise, left to right is in reference and is subjective and is relative to the direction that you're facing. This is simple. A coherent second grader can reconcile this in less than 15 seconds.
You have to explain this picture, which is taken from the equator and shows the axis of rotation north to south, which is not possible on a flat plane.
Where was this taken from? Are you out in space?
It was taken from Ecuador, I think. I can give you the link to the site if you like.
Do you understand? Can you refute that all the stars rise in the east and set in the west?
Oh my God. I've just said 5 times that no one's disputing that, John. That's not the point.
Therefore, there can't be a counterclockwise, clockwise anti-rotation. This is very simple. We can move on.
Okay. I mean, the question I've probably got for this picture is, why is it in a circle?
It's because it's using a wide-angle lens so you can see north and south poles at the same time.
Have any of you looked up solography?
No.
Oh my goodness.
So the point is, this one picture explains, invalidates the flat Earth. It's not possible to have a flat Earth and this axis rotation.
Can you say that again, Rumpus?
Right. This picture, because it shows the axis of rotation north to south, that's not possible on a flat Earth, given that the North Pole on a flat Earth is vertically above. This is actually going sort of, as the persons are viewing it at the equator in this picture, is going left to right using a wide-angle lens. And so the axis of rotation is north to south, which is not possible on a flat Earth because there's no flat Earth model that can accommodate this. So as John Le Bon said, if you look to the north, it's one way, if you look to the south, it's the other way.
Just to get clarity, Rumpus. So the camera for this picture is pointing up.
Yes, it's pointing along the equator. Yeah.
But it's still just pointing upwards.
Yes, and to the left is north. I think to the left is south, and to the north is right.
Can I just ask a question? Sorry
if you stand on the equator and look up,
is this rumpus gentleman where you guys get the word rumpusing from, or is that a?
Yeah, that's where we get it from. Me, yes, it's rumpus.
Oh, so you're a regular participant on these debates?
I come up once a month or something.
I wouldn't say a participant.
Can I ask you a question? Have you had many people contact you to say that your words or your ideas have helped them to leave flat Earth behind?
Yes, I've had people do that. Yes,
is that what motivates you to sort of help people get away from it?
Yeah, I mean, I like invalidating, showing Nathan Oakley and Riley, and for instance, the arguments of Riley was something about the sun, for instance, distance to the sun. He keeps on quoting Huygens, when in fact, if no one uses Huygens' idea of Venus being the same size as the Earth, that's not what's the basis for the distance of the sun.
Yeah, but Rumpus,
he keeps on
when he asked
quoting
the question,
even though he's
explained
it 20 times, that's not the basis for the distance of the sun.
He was referring to
I'm not trying to interrogate you, I'm just curious. Would you be, if you met someone who was a flat earther, but they were happy in their life, they weren't angry, they weren't cult-like, they weren't trying to convince you the Earth is flat, they were just peaceful people who believe in flat Earth, would you be cool with that, or would you try and change their mind?
Excellent
I think
question.
probably if they were happy in themselves, they weren't trying to impose their idiocy on others. I mean, I've got to accept the fact that there are idiotic people in the world, and if they want to believe something, they're happy about it, and they're not trying to impose that on the
And
education
Rumpus
system.
is the poster child of
I
that.
suppose I'd let them carry on their way, but it's when you get people trying to impose their idiocy on others on the educational system, then obviously you've got to
like
resist
Rumpus.
that.
Like him.
The reason I ask is just because I've been in this scene, I call it the ACT realm, alternative conspiracy truth. I've been here for like 4 or 5 years. And I'm at the position now where I'm like, if I meet someone and they're happy believing they live on a spinning ball, I'm cool with that. If they're happy believing they're flat Earth, I'm cool with that. And I think what happens is,
Right,
like,
but don't you want the
I
truth?
probably made the mistake of thinking that all flat earthers had gone completely mental a year ago or so, but I've now realized, no, there still are some peaceful, happy flat earthers, and I've got no issue with them. It's just the angry, dogmatic
That's
ones.
amazing.
They're the ones I have an
feelings.
issue with. You know
this
what I mean?
isn't a feelings type of thing, John LeBon.
We're
We're
all
looking
about
for the
feelings. You're an
nature
angry man.
of our
You're a very,
reality.
very angry person.
You know, we're not sitting around singing
Listen to you.
kumbaya and talking about other people's
What do you
feelings.
think? You're going to change the
We're
world
looking
with flat
for the
Earth? Do you still
nature
believe
of our
that?
reality, John LeBon. So, what is your position, and what evidence do you have to support that position? Go.
Well, one of my positions that I was trying to talk about earlier is that wingless missiles are in fact a hoax. Now, I could be wrong about that. Okay, I could be. How do these missiles generate lift? That's what I want to know.
Wingless
How do these
missiles
objects
again.
stay in the air without wings?
well,
Wings give lift. Lift keeps things in the air.
Well,
How
hold
can
on,
one of
hold
these
on.
things stay in the air without
Hold on,
lift?
rocket. Things like the V2 rocket, for instance, it started off.
Well, that's a hoax. V2 rockets are in fact a hoax. That's a good example. I'm glad you brought that up.
They're a hoax, even though we've got footage of them and they landed on this country and we've got.
Yeah,
the
have you gone back and
parts
looked at that footage?
Fireworks.
We have got film footage of them taking off. We've got people who worked in them. We've got the remains of the archaeology, in effect, of those missiles, and we've got the wreckage in the UK of those missiles.
Sorry to interrupt.
And we found that we've got
people who
worked in the factories underneath mountains.
Sorry,
we've got the designers.
sorry to interrupt, Rumpus.
We've got
Really
the
sorry.
people who
Rumpus,
designed that and built them. There is so much evidence.
Rumpus, I've heard. Hello, Rumpus. His question to you was, can we see that, please?
You want me to produce? So you want the video footage, or do you want the analysis?
I'm not asking you to present it on the spot, because you've just got this question now like this. I'm not expecting you to have this just lying around. But are you at least open-minded to the possibility that we've been deceived about V2 rockets?
No.
You're not open-minded to that possibility.
There's so much evidence. It's the same. It's the same evidence. I exist. It's almost there's as much evidence for the existence of V2 rockets as there is that I live in the UK.
Wow. Do you think there's any mass deceptions that take place?
No, that's all a fantasy for people who believe in delusions.
So you think men actually walked on the moon?
Absolutely, of course.
And you're not open-minded at all to the possibility that that's
verified. I
in fact
mean,
a hoax?
for instance, the UK tracked the rocket. The Russians did as well. We've even got photographs from Japanese satellites that have gone around the moon that have picked up the landing.
Satellites? Where are satellites at? Are they in the vacuum of space?
The Eagle landing things has actually been photographed by Japanese satellites going around the
vacuum of space.
We have
How can you have a gas pressure?
Oh, let me finish my sentence, John. I'll finish in 2 seconds. We've got photographic evidence.
How
John,
do you have a gas pressure without a container?
John,
you absolutely do interrupt
stop
him.
distracting. Look, you. Anyway, we have photographs.
Can we refer? I'm interrupting you now, but this is the other John. Can we refer to that other John as some other? Call me JLB and call him. Don't call him John. I don't want to be in any way associated with that guy. He's an angry dude.
Okay. I was referring to John when I was asking him to not interrupt me. I wasn't talking about you.
Let's call him something else. What's his online
I'll call you
Quantum Eraser. John LeBon.
Right, so JLB, we have photographic evidence from things like the Japanese satellite that went around the moon surveying it and picked up the Eagle landing site from Apollo 11, etc., etc., etc. We've got all the things pictured. Well, I think I can't remember how many ones they pictured, but we've got independent evidence where they were charted their radar track to the moon. We've got people who've been there. We've got as much evidence as you would expect for it. And more.
Is that scientific evidence?
Okay, well, I'm just going to say one thing because I do need to get going soon. Like, I'm not going to try and change your mind. I don't even know who you are. You sound like an intelligent, well-spoken person. But I don't believe that the man walked on the moon. Do you think that makes me crazy, or do you think It's okay to not believe these things.
I think that's not really okay because it suggests that you believe that a large portion of the population around you is lying to you. So you must think that 50% of the people.
No, they're not lying. They're just mostly stupid. Most humans are very stupid creatures.
I'd agree with that.
And Rumpus knows that because he's one of them.
You've got the IQ of a vegetable, John, I'm afraid. So, JLB, I'm afraid it does suggest that you're prepared to accept, for instance, the existence of Mongolia, even though presumably you haven't been there. And so all sorts of.
Yeah, but I'm open-minded to like you say,
there's
Mongolia.
open-minded-
Right, I haven't been there. You're right. I haven't been to Mongolia. I've met people who claim to be Mongolian.
Right.
Is it possible that they're lying? Sure, but my inference is no. There is a place called Mongolia.
Exactly, and there's just about from your point of view.
I've never met a man who's been to the moon.
Yeah, but hang on, Mongolia is not a contentious point.
Yeah, well, we're going on authority, and there's no contention about going to the moon.
It's called a false equivalence fallacy.
Well, you just said something very important there. You said that you're going on authority, and to me, that's cool. Some people lead their lives and they want to trust their authority, and I said that's cool. That's why I wouldn't try to change your mind if you're convinced that
there's
your
lots of independent evidence. It's not as though there's one person authority telling me this. There's lots and lots of independent evidence, and that's how you measure.
Oh, sure, but like the NASA and the Japanese Space Agency
and our own
sites, but they're both in the same racket, aren't they?
So you think that the Japanese, the British, the European, and the
Russian war is a hoax.
Hold on. JLB, you
JLB.com and checked out what I believe. You
interrupted me. JLB, you interrupted my answer there. You were claiming that things like the Russian Space Agency, the Chinese Space Agency, the European Space Agency, the UK, the American, they're all in some game. I mean, that requires a conspiracy of ridiculous.
They are in some game. They're in the same game.
And for you to believe that, it does suggest you've got some sort of paranoid delusion, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm open-minded to that possibility. Are you open-minded to the possibility that you are the one who is in fact being deceived?
No, because there's so much independent evidence.
There's not, though.
Because when you speak like this, now you sound like you're proselytizing. Now you sound like you've got faith in authority.
Yeah, he's an indoctrinated.
I base my opinions on evidence, and there's lots and lots of independent evidence.
Okay, is that scientific evidence?
Scientific evidence, yes.
Scientific evidence.
Okay. Hold on a second. Nathan, we ready?
Scientific observations, for instance.
Do rockets work in space?
Of course they do.
Really? Got any evidence for that?
Well, rockets work in
Wait a second. What's space?
We have footage of that happening. We have
outer space. Anyone who tells you that there's a place called outer space is in fact a liar.
Hold on, JB. I'm answering Anthony here. Yes, we do have evidence of rockets in space. We can radar track rockets going to space. We have video footage going to space. We have people who've been to space. We know we know the physics of rockets work, and we can make them work in a vacuum. So we've got a whole wad of independent evidence showing that rockets work in space.
What evidence have you got that proves that it's true?
Well, I just gave you for instance, we've tracked.
You gave us a story.
Well, this evidence, you dismiss evidence.
Show us a proof that what rockets work in space.
Am I sharing my screen, Nathan?
You are sharing, yes, John.
Okay, Rumpus, natural phenomena observed, please.
Well, we can track. With rockets working in space, we can track them with radar. So we have an observation that rockets on our radar systems are in space.
How does what is space?
Hold a second.
Space.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Hold on, Anthony.
What's the hypothesis?
Will you worry about that, Anthony? Sorry, John. I'll just answer Anthony's question. Sorry, what was your question, Anthony?
No, it's okay. Anthony will retract his question temporarily while we do this with your claimed scientific proof of this.
Okay. Right, if Anthony's happy with that. He didn't ask me a question. I was trying to answer and I forgot what it is now.
All right, so claimed scientific proof of what? What was what rockets working in space?
Working in space. I think that was a question, wasn't it? And I said yes.
Are you sure you want to stand by scientific proof that rockets do work in space?
Yes.
What do you mean by that? Sorry, Anthony. You mean rockets don't work in a vacuum like space?
No, I said do rockets work in space?
Yeah.
Right, but do you accept they work in a vacuum?
If I say yes, what?
Then I would ask for evidence that rockets work in space.
So,
how could rockets work in space when space is in fact a hoax? This is like an absurd.
That's my point, John. JLB.
Well, hold on. Can we just establish that Anthony believes that rockets can work in a vacuum for a start?
But I didn't say vacuum.
I know you didn't. But this is the first step.
JLB gets it. Why don't you get it?
Hold on, John. Anthony, could just go step by step. Do you accept that rockets work in a vacuum for starters?
I'm not interested in whether they work in a vacuum or not. I asked about space.
I know you did, but I'm going this step by step. I'd like to know.
What space then, Rumpus?
I'd like to know from you whether or not you believe rockets work in a vacuum as a first step.
Well, I asked him
Where-
about space.
I know you did. I know you did.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to
Where'd
that
you get a
point, but I want
vacuum?
to do it in a series of steps,
But you
Anthony.
are straw manning me. I didn't say
No, I'm
vacuum. I
not
said
strawmanning.
space.
I know you
Yeah,
didn't.
you
but
are. Where'd you get space?
I'm not
What's
strawmanning. I'm
space?
not trying to
You
give you
are.
any opinion. No, I'm not. I'm
What
not.
space,
I
Rumpus?
haven't said you
What
said it was in
is
vacuum.
space,
I perfectly accept you said it
Rumpus?
was in space. I'm just asking you a
What
supplementary
is space?
question. Do you believe that rockets can work in a vacuum? And I know that's not the
What
question you
I
asked.
have no
is
opinion.
space?
You have
What
not.
space,
Okay, that's all I
Rumpus?
wanted to know. This is quite simple. Isn't
Sorry,
it? So,
we've
okay,
got a
you're not
confusion in
convinced that
terms.
rockets
Sorry,
can work in a
sorry to
vacuum.
interrupt, Rumpus. This is a bit of a deadlock. So we need to get a clarity on a specific term. What is space?
Yeah.
Right, space.
Excellent question.
Space is the sort of interplanetary area that has a much lower density of material than the conglomerations accumulated by mass.
Oh, that's a
That's
lovely
hilarious.
story. Now, have you got any evidence for what space is?
Yes, we've been there. We've sampled it. We've been.
Really?
We've sent up
Can we
probes
see
in there.
some,
You
please?
keep saying we. You keep using this collective we,
Well,
but you
okay,
haven't done. I
Okay, the
haven't been to
scientific,
space.
the body of science, the
Just say
body
the
of human knowledge.
authorities have been to space. The authorities tell me
Yes.
stories about going to space, and I believe them. Just say that. Don't say
Yeah,
we.
it's just like a
Oh.
priest. It's like a
Well,
religion.
Well, it is. We as a
Come on,
civilization.
Rumpus. Now you're going to prove space.
Yeah, John, you're on screen still, John. Quantum Eraser.
Yeah, but I wanted to spend a
this-
little bit of time with Rumpus's space. He's trying to say vacuum, but it just didn't come out.
Yes, that's what he's trying to do.
Well, it is effectively a vacuum. It's not quite a vacuum.
Right. So how are you going to prove it?
Well, we've been there.
So-
we can see it.
No, we
okay.
haven't.
Okay,
Stop
wait a
saying
second. Wait a
we.
second. Go ahead.
Anyone who says
Ask
that
him.
we have been
A
to space
human
is
being,
in fact a liar.
a human being, our civilization has been into space. So we as a
No,
collective.
the authorities claim that they went to space. They're storytellers. That's why they're called the authorities. Author it is. They
And
tell
JLB,
stories.
that's
And
why
they have
I
lots
think
of
it's a lovely
independent proof for it.
story.
There's lots of independent proof for it. Radar
That
tracking.
is-
We've got people. We've got
that's-
personal tests.
You have a lot of independent
Independent
proof, but it's a second law of thermodynamics violation, Rumpus.
Correct.
What's a hold on. What's a violation of second law of thermodynamics?
Space.
Vacuum
No, it's
next to a non-vacuum without a container.
Yeah.
Gravity pulls on those little molecules just like it
Gravity.
pulls on.
Which
Oh,
gravity?
hold on, John. You didn't. John, stop! Don't interrupt me when I'm mid-sentence, please.
Yeah, I have to stop you because
you doing it
you
again.
are
I haven't got three
conjuring-
words
Sorry,
out
let's
there.
shut you both up. Sorry, both. John,
So, John,
Quantum
so,
Eraser and Rumpus.
oh,
Hold
for
on,
God's
hold on.
sake, I've
Hold
got
on,
three
hold
words,
on.
you know.
Just let me
John.
get control. Hold on, Rumpus, a second.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry. So we need just a meeting of minds in terms of terms. So which gravity are you talking about, Rumpus?
Right, the Newtonian gravity is a manifestation of the explanation given by Einstein, but it's effectively the same thing as far as forces are concerned.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
No
not.
one's a force.
Absolutely.
It is not because Einsteinian gravity is not a force, Rumpus. Do you understand that?
Do you understand that centrifugal?
Do you
Hold on,
understand
let
that
John go into it
Einsteinian
again in
gravity
three words
is not
in.
a force?
John, do
Rumpus.
you understand that a centrifugal force is a fictitious
That's not an
force?
answer. A question is
So,
not an
I'm
answer.
asking you if you understand that
You
centrifugal force is a
understand that
fictitious force.
Einsteinian gravity is not a force.
It's equivalent to centrifugal force, which is also a
It is
fictitious
not
force.
a force, Rumpus.
It is a force. In effect, it manifests
Okay,
itself in the
it
same
is a
way as a
force.
force. Do you understand centrifugal force? What that is?
Sorry,
Do you
the
understand
sorry, John,
spontaneous
hold on.
parametric
Hold on.
down
We're
conversion?
clarifying terms. So are we still haven't got a meeting of minds. Are we talking the force described by Cavendish gravity, or are we talking the bending of space-time? Which is it? Which are we talking?
The bending of space-time causes the force as documented by Newton. Now that's why. Hold on, John. Let me just explain.
Hold on, hold on.
Well,
Let me.
you've given it your best effort, Rumpus, and you're saying one is the cause of the other. So, if you don't mind, just give John a couple of seconds. He's nearly there. I think you're there, John. Not
Yeah,
quite.
he's calling it a force.
Here we go.
It's not a force.
Here we go. A few references for you to pay attention to, Rumpus.
Hold on. I'd like to finish my sentence. Centrifugal force is a fictitious force.
We're not talking about
manifests-
centrifugal
Oh
force.
my
We're
God.
talking about
Yeah, we're talking about
Einsteinian gravity versus Newtonian gravity. Do you understand that, Rumpus?
Maybe go through it. Read it.
So, Einstein created his general theory of relativity, which provides our modern understanding of gravity, with the express purpose of expunging non-locality from physics. Isaac Newton's gravity acted as a distance as if by magic, and general relativity snapped the one in two by showing that the curvature of space-time and not an invisible force gives rise to gravitational attraction. So, Newtonian gravity is a force. Einsteinian gravity snapped that nonsense in two and showed that the curvature of space-time, not Newton's invisible force, gives rise to gravitational attraction.
In a car. So, Sleeping Warrior, why did you not mute him? He interrupted me, not the other way around.
Because you are rumpus in the hangout.
I only got 3 words out and he interrupted me sleeping. Try and be a bit more objective about this. I just want to get one sentence out. John, Anthony, I want to get one sentence out and then I will let him proceed.
Yeah, but the problem is you get your one sentence.
No, I only got 3 words out, Anthony. You can't deny this. Be objective about this. I just want to get one sentence.
Newtonian gravity is a force. Einsteinian gravity is not a force. They're not even in the same geometry, for crying out loud. Newtonian gravity is Euclidean 3 space, whereas Einsteinian gravity is pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. Newtonian gravity speaks to instantaneous actions at a distance, whereas Einsteinian gravity is limited to the speed of light. If I had beach balls and Bunsen burners, they would have more in common than Newton's and Einstein's fairy tales. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
I want
Sean.
one sentence and then he can. I want one sentence and then he can have a turn. Right. The sentence is that centrifugal force is a fictitious force, and the Einstein explains the manifestation of a fictitious force that we observe as Newtonian force. Carry on.
Okay, back
Can I just
to your
interject really
scientific
quickly
evidence
because it's
of your
late here?
rockets.
Just a quick interjection. Maybe I can help make the panel more fun and friendly. I think you guys can all work together and hate on me because I think I know something where Rumpus and the panel will all agree. Because you guys all seem to think that wingless missiles can fly through the sky.
We're not going back to that, John LeBon. We're going back to the natural phenomena observed, please.
So, do you guys think that like objects can fly through the sky? Like
we're not going back to that, John LeBon. We're going back to the scientific evidence for Rumpus.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm trying to get you guys to be friends, and I think Rumpus and you guys will all agree that these missiles exist, because most people still believe that wingless missiles can fly.
So,
what are you talking about? Which missiles?
Hold on, Anthony.
Well, the ones that we were mentioning earlier, what was the name that was given? I looked them up. Sea Sparrow.
You claim the V2 missiles are wingless.
Yeah.
Hold on. It's on screen.
Hold on. You think V2 missiles? You regard those as wingless?
This is a distraction. Rumpus, you said that
I could
we
be
can
wrong.
observe rockets in space,
I'm pretty sure
and
the
you said
V2
it was
rockets were
scientific.
wingless, yeah.
Guys,
Can we
please.
just answer this question, please?
No. Let me just explain. We've had this put on screen for ages. If you click on my icon, if you haven't already, you said you could scientifically validate rockets in space.
Yeah, I'm happy to, but I keep on being interrupted or whatever.
Let me just respond to JLB.
No. This has been on screen for ages. Rockets in space, scientifically valid according to Rumpus. I'd like that qualified.
That's great. I'm more than happy to.
You're up,
So
John,
we
you're
have
on
the
screen.
observed phenomena. We can track rockets with radar. Well, I don't know what that has to do with space, but number 2, what's your hypothesis?
No, we're talking about rockets in space, John. That was the question. Can we show that rockets were in space? That is relevant. If we can track their position as being in space, then there we are.
Okay. What's the hypothesis, please?
The hypothesis is that they are existing in space and we can track them with the radar.
He keeps using the word we, but just get him to say no, the authorities can, because that's more accurate. Let's try and be truthful here. You can't track your authorities.
It's much quicker to say we than it is the authorities say.
But it's also misrepresenting the reality of the situation. You're not tracking these things. It's not we.
It is.
There's no collective. You're not part of some collective we.
All the governments around the world.
Rumpus, wait.
Hold on. All the governments around the world. Hold on. Let me just one sentence to JLB. We've got all these governments around the world that all agree on this. So it's not like just one government or something and one authority, one despot, one tyrant. It's a collection of 150 odd countries who have governments who all agree on this.
Argument ad populum fallacy.
Hang on, JLB.
So they are existing in space. What's your independent variable?
Well, you can change your radar, where you're looking at with your radar, and seeing whether you detect something. So it's where you're looking at is your
I've
independent
never used a
variable.
radar in my life. Have you?
That's irrelevant. That's a bit of a
Where-
Well, it
Mongolian
is
question
relevant
again.
because you're talking about what we
We're
can do,
looking
but you
at-
have not done these things. You claim that we can
Oh,
do.
this is the hyperskeptic route. This is ridiculous.
What does
Again,
hyperskeptic mean? These are simple questions. What is your
okay,
evidence?
I'll explain then. I'll explain what hyperskeptic is. This is the thing that Nathan uses as well. Basically, if you haven't done it yourself, you can't believe it. But we all in our lives.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you haven't done it, you can't say
JLB,
we.
you're interrupting me. I was in mid-sentence then. But
you're misrepresenting me. You're misrepresenting me.
interrupting me
You're saying
again.
that I'm saying
I'm
that's
trying
what
to
I'm
give you an
saying.
answer, and you're
You're
not
misrepresenting me.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not misrepresenting.
You are. You're misrepresenting me.
No, I'm not.
You're doing it intentionally.
I'm not
Just stop
ascribing
a sec.
anything to. I'm not ascribing anything to you at all.
Just stop a
It's not being
sec. It
misrepresenting
might
you.
be accurate to say we if you were included in that group.
Right. Okay. But the point.
And he's not included in
Right,
that.
the
Correct.
point I'm making is that in our
Or is
lives,
he?
we accept lots of information that we regard as reliable and authoritative from the BBC or other media institutions or scientific bodies, etc., etc. So
You haven't
therefore,
been on.
BBC is reliable.
but largely, yes. I mean, not always, but largely reliable.
So that means they're not reliable.
No, it doesn't mean that.
Yes, it does.
You know, because nothing is perfectly true except maths. Only maths is perfectly true and provable. Everything else is conditional and it's just more probable than not being correct. So it's more probable to be right than wrong. That's the way life actually is. That's reality. So you have to work out what is most probable and what's not probable. And the most probable case in something like rockets in space, we've got all this independent evidence for it, and being on the
No,
moon.
we don't. You keep saying
Yes, we do.
Yes,
We have lots of independent evidence, and that's how you decide whether something is true or not.
Have you ever
Lots
seen
of
one of these
independent
missiles with your own eyes?
Sorry?
I want to know, why do you keep saying we?
Because when 150 governments around the world with separate institutions and all of them have millions of scientists in the world all agree on these things, I'm entitled to say we as a
Yeah, but
civilization.
we must include you, right?
Well, the trouble is, I mean,
Otherwise
I'm
it would be they.
not allowing for idiots. I'm talking about the people who actually would do this
So
professionally.
wouldn't it be they?
No,
They, yeah.
well, we as a human civilization.
No,
I'm referring
not
to.
we. They.
We as a
They.
we as a human civilization.
No, they.
I
the
know
authorities.
we as a human civilization.
No.
Yes,
Not we.
Look, if I
Nobody
refer
in
to the
this
whole
room
of
has
humanity,
done
when
anything
I'm referring to the whole of humanity, I'm allowed to say we in that
Not
sense.
they.
Can-
You
You're
can't say
allowed
we
to, but it's
unless
just
You're
not
not part of
accurate.
humanity,
It's they.
then, Anthony. Anthony, you're not part of humanity. Can I not
Hey,
say
hey
we as
Nathan,
humanity?
are you looking at this?
You can say we, but it's just not accurate. It's they.
Yeah, it's
They
not
have
true.
given you stories of men playing golf.
I
You're a
agree,
member
Jamie.
of humanity, aren't you? So if I say we as humanity have do something, then we've done it. As and that's
No,
perfect.
that's just so not true.
No,
No,
we have
you
not
can't
walked
say
on the
we
moon,
unless
and
we
you
have
have
done
not
it.
walked on the moon.
No,
and
we
anybody
as-
who tells you that they have
we
walked on
as
the moon
humanity-
is in
so-
fact a liar.
So
Yeah,
hold on,
I
Anthony.
agree.
Hold on, Anthony. You're saying you would never use the we to reference the whole of humanity. You never
No,
done that.
I would say humanity.
Humanity believes in religion,
Yeah.
therefore God exists. No.
I wouldn't say we unless I was included in that bracket.
Well, you are. You're included in humanity. You're
I'm not,
part of
because I
humanity.
don't been to the moon.
Did we kill people at a school in Sandy Hook? No, we did not. Some person may have, but we did not.
No, that's not.
We do not take responsibility for other humans' claims.
Come on,
And these
we have
claims
mean things.
But knowledge
And they are
spreads
lying.
throughout humanity,
You believe
JLB.
they're lying.
Knowledge
And now you're
spreads.
spreading
You
their
can't say
lies.
we
For instance, we
when
know the
nobody
laws-
in this panel has done it.
Newton's laws, for instance, we collectively have knowledge
No.
of Newton's laws.
No. They tell us the science. We
Well-
try and understand it.
Well, we're also part. For some of us, understand these things intimately, and I am part of that understanding of Newton's
So
laws.
you claim.
I understand it. I understand it intimately.
So you
But
claim.
you did not walk on the moon. Even if man
Intimately,
did,
huh?
you did
You
not.
sleep with it, Rumpus.
We as humanity did.
Well,
You slept with the laws? Do you got any pictures?
Pictures of what?
You sleeping with Newton's laws because you were intimate with them.
You understand the words have multiple meanings, John?
Yeah.
I understand
There's a
that you're
metaphor.
clueless.
Do you understand metaphor?
Hey,
Do you understand
Nathan.
metaphor?
are we seeing this screen? Because
Yeah,
we
it's
got
been
we are.
presented to the audience
You're
the
just
whole
being
time.
stupid. Okay, fine.
Yes,
We'll
they
accept
can
it.
see
Oh,
it.
really?
It's been presented to the audience the whole time. This laughable scientific proof that Rumpus claimed he'd got earlier. Nice to see it formulated on screen with laughing my fucking arse off at the bottom. That's what I'm doing.
This is, I'll tell you what, this is beyond incoherent second grade shroom-induced coma. This stuff right here. I mean, I'm speechless.
Well, I didn't ever say this is an observation, not an experiment. But you
said scientific
excuse
evidence.
me. So when I asked you if this was scientific or not, you claimed it was. Does that mean that you just don't understand what science actually
You don't
is?
understand what science is. You don't
understand. That's what you've just asserted. You don't understand what science is. Because if I ask somebody what scientific evidence they have and they present this garbage on screen, I then point out to my audience, I'll shut you up for a second while I point out to the audience that you do not understand science. If you did, you wouldn't formulate this shit.
You don't understand the difference between hypothesis, experiment, observations.
This guy is a lunatic, man.
Theory. You're so all over the place just because you parrot John's stuff.
Look at what you did.
You don't understand, for instance.
Look at this.
Something simple, like, for instance, if I were to say an experiment to work out what
you don't know what it was. Look at you can't even formulate a hypothesis. You clown.
You don't understand. The most simple experiment usually involves more than 2 variables. For instance,
oh God!
Why would you assert that when that's a complex hypothesis? That's not scientifically formalized hypothesis to establish a cause and effect. That's a complex hypothesis.
Hang on, Nathan, let's start with the definition of science. Rumpus, what is the definition of science?
Well, I would argue it was the understanding reality.
I'm not asking you what you would argue. I'm asking you what is the definition of science.
Well, that's my understanding of what science is.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking what's the definition of science.
That's my definition.
I don't care about your definition.
Well, okay, I believe that is the definition. I believe that's compatible with the definition
of science.
Sorry?
What is the definition of science?
Well, I think lots of people have different definitions. I think
no. What's the definition of science?
If you look in different dictionaries, you'll find different definitions.
JLB, this is what's known as obfuscating the point.
It's not.
No, it's actually correct. There are different definitions. If you look up the Collins or the Macmillan Dictionary, you'll get different definitions. So I'm not really sure what.
Yes, they understand.
Instead of listen, can I give you advice? Instead of playing rhetorical tricks with people like this guy, just get him to tell you what he really believes. If this man believes that humans have played golf on the moon, then just let him give his testimony. He believes that human beings have played golf on the moon. What more do you need to hear? Right? Clearly, he's read lots of books. He feels very smart. I don't think science is making this guy happy. Look how angry he seems.
He sounds like that flat earther from
you're delusional paranoid, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you can't even explain the Coriolis force.
I can, very much so. And you don't. Oh, okay.
How many frames of reference are there?
Anthony, I've got a lovely diagram for you to look at and for you to give me an answer.
Oh, God. Why are we even listening to you? You're a clown.
I've got a lovely quiz here. Can you see this diagram?
We already exposed you
tell me how many reference
as
frames
a no-depth Wiki Discovery Channel parroting pretender clown Muppet right here.
How many? I'd love to know from people. I'd love to know from everybody on the panel how many reference frames are in this diagram. I'd really love to know if anybody can get this right. I've got hopes that some people can.
How many references frames are there in the Earth?
Well, there are as many molecules. Every molecule has its own.
In regards to Coriolis in the Earth. How many reference frames are there?
Anthony, you'll understand what your question means by if you
answering the question.
Look at this diagram. Can you see there are 6 bullets in it? And can
We're
you
looking
see
at this diagram right here.
Can you see this?
That's
can you see the person firing a bullet?
How many reference frames are there in this diagram?
Yeah, so that bit, I'd really love to know, Anthony, if you're capable of working out that answer to that question. And now, any member of the panel, I'd love to hear what John's got to say.
Right, Coriolis, John. Sorry, Rumpus. Coriolis.
Well, hold on. If you understood this diagram, you would understand why your Coriolis claims are so idiotic. But I'd love to know, John.
All right, so let's go through it. What's your issue? What is it? What's the question?
The question is, how many reference frames do you think are in this diagram? I've got 6 bullets moving around. I've got a roundabout with a ball on it, a bullet, a cartridge on it. I think John would like me to get the term right. A rifle stuck to it as well, which is also firing a bullet. I've got a runner.
Did I not ask you that exact question?
Sorry?
Did I not ask you that exact question?
What exact question?
How many reference frames are there in the Earth rotating?
There are as many as there are different objects moving in different directions. So every molecule has its own reference frame because it's
there's 2 Rumpus.
No, you don't understand. Well, if you answer Anthony, if you look at this question here, my diagram, you will suddenly realise why you're wrong. If you John, Anthony, just think.
Either the atmosphere goes with it or it doesn't. That's simple.
Anthony, just think of these 6 bullets. Are you saying that all these 6 bullets that I've got here that are moving in different directions are all in the same reference frame? Is that what you think?
They're all in one reference frame.
No, they're not, because the reference. They're all different. Thank you. I knew someone would get it right. Thank you.
They're all in the same.
Well done, that chap. A reference frame, Anthony, is something that doesn't change its coordinates frame in that reference frame. As these bullets are all moving in different directions, they're changing their relative position. They can't be in the same reference frame. The fact they're in the atmosphere is irrelevant. Just because you're passing through the atmosphere, imagine there was no atmosphere. Are you then saying that changes what reference frame it is? Because
imagine if you had a science acumen, where we would be right now.
So, can I ask a quick question then? So if you're in a car travelling along the road and that car's a closed car and you throw a ball up in the air, what happens? Does the ball suffer a deflection because it's left the car?
I missed the start. Sorry, Anthony. Sorry, Nathan. I missed the very first few words of your sentence.
No problem. So you're in a car. It's a closed car. It's got a roof and windows and is closed.
Right.
Travelling along. You throw the ball in the air whilst travelling along in the closed car. Does the ball suffer a deflection?
No.
Why would that be?
Well, I mean, it would suffer a very tiny but not measurable deflection due to.
That's a simultaneous no and yes answer. So it doesn't suffer a deflection. Why not?
Well, the effect you would need to have it in the air for some time for the Coriolis. I mean, anything at a different height, moving in a different direction relative to the Earth. The car, for instance, is also subject to Coriolis force because it's moving relative to the Earth.
Sorry, I'll say it again. I'm in a bus, one of those special hollowed-out buses that are used for parties with a really tall ceiling. It's travelling along the motorway at 70 miles an hour, and I've got enough time to throw that ball and have a hang time of about 2 seconds in that bus. Okay. So does that ball come back to my hand, or does it immediately whiz to the back of the bus? Which happens?
Because it takes on the velocity it started off with, which is going along with the bus, and it keeps that velocity, and then so comes back where the bus, where it come back down your lap or on your hands, if you hold your hands in the same place, yes.
So even though it's travelling along at 70 miles an hour, because it's a closed system...
Actually, it's not a closed system. There's air coming in and out, so it's not a closed system, but it will approximate.
For the purposes of this discussion, it is a closed system, clown.
No, it's not really. There's
Okay, so is the air in the bus travelling along with the bus?
Most of it is, yes.
Right, okay. So because the air travels with the bus, we don't see a deflection.
The air travelling with the bus is irrelevant. It would if you're in a vacuum, the same thing would happen.
No, we're in a bus with air, and we throw a ball in the air. Even though we're travelling at 70 miles an hour, the ball still comes pretty much back to your hand.
It does. It does indeed, yes.
Right.
That's right.
So that would be because the air is travelling with the bus. Correct?
It's nothing to do with the air. Okay, if the air was moving around relative to the bus, yes, there would be a problem. It wouldn't happen, yes. But if you had a vacuum, let's consider it with a vacuum.
Sorry, we're not talking about vacuums. We're talking about very simple stuff. And it's really difficult for you
fundamentally
to concede
right. Yes, because the bus is
very simple
the bus,
point. I don't really understand why you're finding it so difficult to just concede.
I like to be very particular, but you're right that as the air inside the bus is moving with the bus, there's no movement of the air relative to the bus. Therefore, the ball just does what it normally does, as it would if it were just stationary. Yes.
I see. So, does the air move with the Earth on the sphere Earth? It does.
Yes, correct.
So, why would there be any deflection then?
Because the reference frame, as I got in this diagram here, there isn't. The scale you're talking about, just
let's hear Rumpus's answer.
There's not enough time for there to be an action. But for a bullet, because it travels further, the Coriolis effect is proportional to the velocity. Proportional to the velocity, you get a more noticeable deflection.
Sorry, what deflection? The air's travelling with the Earth, like in the bus.
Yes, but there's movement of the bullet relative to the Earth. The atmosphere stays in lock with the Earth's surface. But
yes, like with the bus, and therefore we don't see a deflection.
We do see a deflection of the bullet.
So don't just assert your religious belief. Explain why in the bus, in a small scale, we don't see a deflection because the air is carried with the bus. Yet when you scale it up to the Earth, you still say the air is travelling with the Earth, and yet we do see a deflection. That's a contradiction.
That's why I was particular when you first...
It's called a contradiction.
Yes, it's called a contradiction. If it does it in the bus and doesn't get hurled to the back of the bus, i.e. a deflection, because the air is travelling with the bus, Then when we scale that to the Earth with the air travelling with the Earth, then there is also no deflection.
No, there is a deflection.
Exactly.
Measured.
No, don't just assert your religious belief about it. Explain the contradiction, because the two are analogous. The Earth, with the atmosphere travelling along with it, and the bus, with the atmosphere travelling along with it. They are analogous. However, we have a contradiction. We don't have a deflection on the bus, but according to you, we do have a deflection on the Earth. That's a
No,
contradiction.
listen to what I said.
Hey, Nathan, I just want to say thanks for having me, man. I have to get going, but good luck to you guys, and yeah, all the best to everyone. And if you want to know more about the fact that missiles are a hoax, just go to johnlebon.com. Tons of free material, podcasts, articles, videos, the whole lot. Everyone's welcome. There's even a couple of members on my website who are flat earthers. So not many, but there are a few, and we get along. It's all cool.
Paranoid
And everybody's
delusion.
happy.
Go and
So
see some
thank you,
paranoid
Nathan. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night. All right, bye-bye.
It's been an absolute pleasure, John LeBon, and with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live panel for making this debate possible, and of course a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do, but if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend, or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!